Today, guys, we're going to talk specifically about what is happening today in the real estate market as a whole, not specific numbers, but as a whole, and just the trends that we're seeing. Stay tuned to the end to get a chance to hear all about it. Hey guys, real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes of all this, with what we're going to talk about with the current real estate market and what's actually happening and trending within that, I just want to say if you got any questions whatsoever, real estate related, or even anything related, just even coming out into this area, or you live in this area already and you need a good place to go try to go get something to eat, please don't hesitate to reach out to my team and I. We're the James E. Mountain Homes team. We are your local mountain real estate experts. You can call us or text us at 719-266-2725. You can also email us at info@jennymaryt.net. We would love to help answer those questions. We would also love to be your agent if you're moving to this area, or if you're selling and you're in this area and you're looking to either move somewhere else here or move out of the area. We would love to be able to help you with all real estate needs that you have. So please reach out to us. We'd love to be able to be that local mountain expert for you. Just want to make sure too, you guys are tracking. We've got two amazing resource guides down below. We've got the Pikes Peak region relocation guide that's down here below. That is an awesome guide just for folks coming into the area that might have questions they don't even know they had. The stuff about wells, septic, sewers, inspections, weather patterns, what it looks like to live in certain areas, or, whether it's in the Colorado Springs area or up in the mountains as well, how all that stuff looks. It's a great resource for that. So certainly check that out. Also check out our buy local guide. That's got all the folks that we have down below that we recommend, whether it's contractors or, businesses, different things that we have through there. These guys are the ones that are in our buy local guide. You certainly want to check them out. Plus, don't forget, check out our website. Our website's got so much information on there for you where you can do searches for different homes, or you can even sign up for evaluation for your home. But you can also look at a lot of our videos on there too that you're seeing right now. We've got them all listed out based by community. jdmountainhome.com is the where to go to actually find all that information out. You can see the different agents that we have on there as well. Lots of different stuff that we have in store. So please check that out too. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel right now, don't forget, hit that subscription button and the notification bell. That way you get notified every time a new video comes out. Okay. Now let's talk about the current real estate trends right now. Now, if you're not looking at buying or selling right now, this might not mean a whole lot to you, and that's fine. I get that. But it's still nice to know if you own a home right now, what those trends are looking like. Now, some of these trends are national based, but you can see them here very hyper locally as well. And we'll talk specifically about like the mountain areas compared to the front range areas that we're seeing around the Pikes Peak region, specifically with the Colorado Springs and Teller County. That's usually the easiest way to kind of differentiate between the two of those. We'll talk about that and what we're seeing. But overall, I'm going back to, there was a video that I put out 4 years ago, talking about how we were not in a bubble. Lots of folks were talking about like, prices are going up so fast, we're in a bubble. We are not in a bubble. And I still hold true to that. 4 years later, I still stand very firm on that as well. Here's a difference of some things that happened in 2008 that are not happening now. In 2008, there were forced closings on there from the foreclosures that were happening. There were folks that were underneath arms that were ending, and then their interest rates are going up. They could no longer afford the home. And we saw a mass number of those hit the market. We also saw a lot of folks who, through bad lending practices, really got qualified for homes they should have never been qualified for because they didn't have the income level coming in to be able to support those payments on there, which caused some of those forced foreclosures as well. That's the biggest thing that happened in 2008 that caused that bubble. What we don't have is that right now. So what we just came out of was some of the historically the lowest interest rates we've ever seen. Once in a lifetime, once in multi-generations, probably never going to happen again. Nobody can say that for sure, but it's never happened before, where a lot of folks are able to refinance or purchase homes in the 2% range. Like we refinanced ours for 2.5% or 2.25%. I can't remember, but it's ridiculously low. What had happened through that. And a lot of folks were able to do that during those massive price increases. Plus, there's still a ton of equity in a lot of those homes. Now, this isn't every home, but the majority of homes out there, the owner has a bunch of equity in it. And when I say a bunch of equity, they don't have to sell, especially if they have that low interest rate. And so what we're seeing happen, even though the market's slowed down and we're seeing some stagflation that's happened on there, we're not seeing a bottom just completely break out and then prices plummet on there. If you look at prices overall, both in Teller and in El Paso County, they have stayed very, very solidly even across the board. Now, Teller County has been in this a little bit longer than El Paso has. Teller County has been in a buyer's market for over a year and a half now, going on 2 years. And you would expect in a buyer's market to see prices plummeting. Now, if you look at the individual homes, you're seeing price reductions, you're seeing all these things that are happening. But when you look at the grand scale of it, you're not seeing the median home price or the average home price actually drop on there. It's staying flat. We've had small increases and small decreases, but it is just flat. And the reason for that is because of those super low interest rates and the amount of equity that folks have in the homes. So they don't necessarily have to sell. So if you got seller A, seller B, and seller C that are out there, they like to sell their homes, but they don't have to. They're not going to be willing to just drop the price and just watch it just fall to the floor on there in order to get the home sold. Now, there are some sellers that do need to do that, but there's not a whole lot of them out there. The majority of them just don't. So you're seeing a lot of inventory in the market without a lot leaving. So we're fluctuating between, the high 6.7 months of inventory up into the 7s on there as well for months of inventory within Teller County, but not seeing the prices just drop out. Now in El Paso, similar, but not quite as drastic. It's still considered a balanced market, but leaning more towards the buyer side. Same thing down there as well. So we're seeing this stuff happen. Now there's always the outliers and there's always that stuff that the wonderful news media is going to just pivot on and just talk about because it creates good news for them, which draws in audiences, which is not necessarily reality all the time, where they're going to talk about stuff. I heard a statistic recently, where foreclosures in Colorado have gone up 100%. Well, it went from like 40 to 80 in the state on there. I mean, they don't talk about that. They just want to have the headline, foreclosures went up 100%. 80 in the state is ridiculously low when you consider how many homes are out there as well. So just food for thought as you're kind of going through this and looking and hearing these things. My team and I are in the market all the time. We're watching what's happening. We're seeing what's happening out there. And there's some predictions specifically from some economists that are saying they expect this to continue for a little while. So this kind of started 3 years ago, coming out of 2022, what we saw with that massive boom, and it started slowing down. We started watching interest rates come back up to what is really still great interest rates. When you look at the historic interest rate average, which is close to 7%. If you look back the last 30 or 40 years, it's still a great interest rate. This is more normal and average. Now, for some of you that are looking at buying your first home, and you saw what happened before, and you might be on the fence saying, well, I'm going to wait for it to go back to that. That ship has sailed. It is long gone. So you need to find something that's affordable for you now, because if you also look back at those historical figures, the price of homes, even with that massive bump or drop that we had in 2008, when you go back that far, you still see them going up over time. That's what historically we've always seen homes do, because it's a great hedge factor against inflation and other things that kind of come into place. And it's a great way to just maintain or build that wealth as an American as well. So just certainly things you want to look at. Now, here's some things to think about as well. Could we end up with lower interest rates? Yeah, absolutely. Will it be enough to really spike the market? Probably not. I mean, I can't say that for sure, because a lot of it comes into consumer confidence that comes into that as well, what's happened economically. But there's other factors too that come into play as well. Even if interest rates drop, I think we'll probably see more refinances for folks that have bought than we will anything else. It might be enough for folks to then have a little bit more affordability, but affordability is another key factor in this of what we're seeing over this 5-year time frame. And this specific group of economists we're talking about, and I was listening to this on the Bigger Pockets podcast on the market just this last week. It was a spectacular podcast that came out. Definitely check it out if you want to. I listen to it all the time just to get different perspectives on what's happening market-wise. But they were talking with this economist, and he predicted 3 years ago, hey, we're probably going to go into a 5-year cycle of what we're going to see with this. And we're 3 years into it right now, where that stagflation kind of takes place, because what we're really watching to see is a combination of things before we actually see the housing market strengthen. And that does not necessarily mean the economy as a whole is going to strengthen from that as well. And he's been pretty dead on with what we've seen so far. There's been lots of predictions. I didn't even expect to see the market do this for as long as it has, because traditionally it hasn't. Usually we're on a 1 or 2 year dip, and then it's done. We've rarely had a stagflation that's kind of gone into this, and we've seen this. But he's hit dead on with a lot of these things, specifically just flat across the board. A soft market, meaning nothing's really going up, nothing going down. That's that stagflation. Things are just stagnant. Nothing's moving either direction. They're just staying even keel across the board on there, no matter what else is happening in different parts of the economy. That's happening not only because of high interest rates, but also because of affordability, and the average wage in America typically does not support that average American from buying an average cost home on there as well. Usually they've got to go less than that. So that's really, really important to understand. And what his predictions are is that we'll see over the next 2 years, and this will be coming out of it fully 2 years from now, because we're 3 years in right now. So basically in 2027, we'll be completely out of this, but we'll see a slightly less interest rate than we have right now. When I say slightly less, I mean, it might be in the high fives on there or low sixes, but it's kind of been bumping back and forth. It might be in the mid fives. I don't know. It's one of those things that really kind of comes down to investors and foreign investors with bond yields and all these other different things that come into it. I'm just giving you some basics on it, but nobody can predict, hey, next year the interest rates are going to be at 5.5%. And if they're telling you that, they're lying through their teeth because they have no idea and they've got no control over that or what's happening worldwide, what's happening with an international and national economics. We just don't have control over that. So there's always predictions, and predictions have certain percentages of what could be right and wrong on there. And just because there's a higher probability doesn't mean that one's definitely going to happen. So just want to make sure you understand that. The other thing we're going to be looking for is for wages, your average wage, to catch up with where that average American can then afford a home on there too, because that sends ripple effects through below average and above average homes that are out there also. So that's another one. That never happens overnight. That happens slowly and gradually. And we're seeing that as affordability is one of the big issues that are being talked about quite a bit in the real estate market right now too, where the average home is just not affordable for the average American. What we're also going to be sitting here and watching for is consumer confidence to come back steadily as well. And as these things happen as a whole, we'll see the market shift and change more than likely back either into a balance, maybe a seller's market, but that'll be very hyper local depending on what's happening in each individual local market. But we'll see that stuff kind of take place as we go through that. And it's important to watch. Now, there's some key facets to this as well. As you're looking at this, if you're sitting on the fence of buying or selling on here, if you're a seller, you're probably falling well within the exact same parameters I was just talking about up front, where you've got equity in the home, you've got a decent interest rate if you have a loan on it at all, and you're just writing this out on there. Now, there's ways to strategize to help you sell your home if you need to, and we've talked about that on previous videos. If you need to talk about it with me, please call and we reach out. We'll definitely talk that over with you. On the buyer side, I'm going to tell you right now, the market was insane in 2022. We saw buyers were just and the buyers that got in, they were competing with a lot of folks, sometimes up to 20 plus offers on one single property. Supply and demand obviously drove the value of that home higher because the market was willing to pay higher for that on it as well. Some buyers didn't want to deal with that. They didn't want to deal with the competition, and I understand that and I get that. Now we got folks that are out there and they're like, oh, it's going to be a bubble that's going to burst. And the news media says this all the time and they key in on those because that drives news. So let's look at this objectively with this as well. Like I've talked about through this. Don't just be the follower of here's the latest news headline. If anything, the last 4 or 5 years have taught us not to do that and to actually dig and to see what's true, what's not true on there as well. But they're sitting there and thinking, oh, well, if I buy now, it's going to be a massive problem and it'll hurt me in the future. Well, if you're looking at buying home, you need to have a home for anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And I say 3 to 5 years because sometimes you could buy in an upswing market and 3 years is perfectly fine to either break even or make money on it. 5 years typically is the goal on having a home to be able to know that you're either going to be able to break even or definitely make money on it as well. That goes well past that 2027 timeframe. Right now, there's not a whole lot of competition out there. When that starts to change and swing and that wave starts going up, competition will go up because other people are going to be in that same seat you are as well. So just think about that as you're going through it. If something's affordable right now you're just paying, if you're renting, you're paying for somebody else's mortgage out there. You should definitely look at potentially paying into your own wealth and prosperity if you can afford to buy a home. Now, if you can't, there's definitely programs out there that lenders can help get you clued into. You can actually work through that process. We can walk you through that process as well. We do it all the time and the education of what that looks like too. But for those folks that have already bought before, just know, and watch and be careful on this. And just, if it's time for you to buy, it's time for you to buy. And this is one of the best buyer's markets in Teller County that we have seen in over 10 years. It's also become a great market down in Colorado Springs too. We're talking about a growing city that's happening down on the Front Range as well. Another great time to purchase also because you get this little bit of a slowdown. You're going to have different options and different negotiating power than you ever had before. So certainly things to think about. These entire trends are going on across the nation as a whole as well. Some worse than others, some better than others on there too. But it's just kind of a broad synopsis. And then we narrowed it down for the Teller County El Paso area. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I just want to say too, before we sign off, if you have any of these questions at all, please reach out to my team and I. We're the James Mountain Home Team. We are your local mountain real estate experts. Call us at Texas 719-266-2725. You can also email us at info@jdmaryt.net. Don't forget about those 2 free resources down below. And don't forget, check out our website, jdmountainhome.com. And you'll be able to see a lot of the stuff that's there as well as look at old videos, and you can see how things are correlated as well, especially on the real estate education side or stuff on different communities you might be interested in too. So check it out. We're there for you. Can't wait to see you guys next time.